Hello, this is Todd Danielson, the editorial director for Informed Infrastructure, and welcome to this podcast on the technology adoption of small businesses. Joining me today is David Settlemyer, Senior Industry Strategy Manager at Bentley Systems. Hello, David.
Hey, Todd, how are you doing?
Doing fine, thanks. Why don't you start by introducing yourself and briefly explaining what you do at Bentley?
Okay. I am David Settlemyer. I'm a professional engineer, licensed in North Carolina. I was actually a licensed surveyor for many years, and I let that lapse just because I didn't do enough field work to feel it was worth keeping. I joined Bentley about 6 years ago when they acquired the software SiteOps, which I was associated with. And ever since then, I've been really driving the advancement of the site design industry inside of Bentley Systems with what's now called the OpenSite brand of products. Recently, as you can see, my title is not really a product manager over that. It's been more the senior industry strategy manager. And a lot of that's been around the small business that Bentley works with. That's sort of where I came from. I actually owned a small firm for years, and that's where my passion also comes from. So I've been helping Bentley and some of the solutions and some of the business tactics into how do we get to firms like yourself, small firms, so that you can take advantage of what Bentley has to offer.
All right, thanks, David. That's great. So today's main topic is small businesses and why they should look at Bentley as a technology provider. Now, I suppose this stems from some small businesses' belief that their projects are too small for high-end technology or that costs would be too expensive. So can you please help explain why those fears are unfounded and how does Bentley try to appeal to its small business customers?
Okay. Yeah, perfect questions. And I'll go back to me just for a second, just to bring it in that I was, again, that small firm at one point who did projects for, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, for the Charlotte region and for the DOT for Charlotte. And my fear was what a lot of people think about Bentley. Oh, it's very high-end technology. It's hard to learn. It costs a lot of money. So when I did my projects, I didn't. I actually bought a seat of microstation just so I could convert a DWG to a DGN to deliver it. But it was not the right way of thinking. It wasn't until later on that I actually got into the software and realized it's easy software. It's very focused and driven in what it delivers. So a lot of people, the fear comes from what I talk to people is more because of the projects that it's used on. When you see some of the biggest and most mega projects in the world being built from an engineering side, it's usually being done with Bentley software. So people have come to this mindset of, oh, my project's not good enough for Bentley. My office building, the school, the roadway improvement, it's just not a Bentley level project. The reality is, it is absolutely a Bentley product. We're the leading civil engineering software sales company, and we do everything from the McDonald's on the corner to the mega interstates that are worth billions of dollars. So we've looked at how can we now change and appeal to small business customers like yourself. And we're doing this through a separate company called Virtuosity. So there's Bentley, which again still deals with a lot of mega projects, and we still deal with small customers as well. But we also set up Virtuosity because the one thing we realized at Bentley, you cannot treat mid to small companies the same way you would a mega company. Mega companies have different resources and training requirements and deployment of software that's done in-house. For smaller businesses, we look at our software provider almost as like an employee in our company. So Bentley created Virtuosity to fill that role. This is a group that's geared around smaller businesses. It offers different types of licensing that are more flexible that weren't there a couple years ago to help you come in and absorb and get up to speed on the software, and leaving cost as not an issue. It trains differently. It helps you install and get started in the software on a more personal manner. And then again, it still has all the learned content, has all the benefits of Bentley behind it. But it's a group that's there to help you do your job easier and faster and deliver better projects by taking advantage of their knowledge and allowing you to do your knowledge as an engineer or an architect or a planner or whatever it is that you do.
Okay, great. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I've served many years on a Bentley jury for projects, and yes, there's some amazing, humongous projects that are changing the world, but there's also a lot of submissions on small projects. So I've seen them, but I could also see why there could be that perception that just the big project. So I think that clears up a lot. So another group of potential customers will be small firms working on smaller transportation projects, perhaps for local departments of transportations. Now, are these DOTs trying to award more work to smaller firms when possible?
And for most local DOTs, again, I'll go back to like my experience in North Carolina. The local DOTs want to give work to the smaller firms because they want to support that. And then in some states and in some projects, it's actually required that you use small firms. The basically what is known as the DBE, the disadvantaged enterprise firms. And that's fairly common. But the one thing we have to do is we have to be ready and in place to be able to take those projects. I'll give you an example of the Michigan DOT. It's a little bit bigger project, but they worked with HNTB to actually create a disadvantaged business enterprise program. They had a project called the I-94 Small Business Initiative, which is about a $2.5 billion mega project, but they wanted to work with small firms. They wanted to take advantage of that knowledge base that the small firms bring, because a lot of small firms have just as much, if not more, experience than the larger firms. We're just smaller, right? That's the only difference. So they created this project. The great thing around it was they took this project and they used 31 small firms, most of them being those disadvantaged firms, which might be a minority, a veteran, a handicap owned firm. They meet certain requirements to be a DBE, but they got contracts worth almost $6 million. And as y'all know, for a small firm, you divide that up over 31, that's almost a $500,000 contract. That's a nice contract. We don't see many contracts like that. But the one thing they wanted to make sure that when you went into this program, you had to be pre-qualified, right? That's the whole thing. So getting in and learning with Virtuosity, for example, and starting to understand what Bentley has to offer, uh, buy some seats of Open Roads, for example, if you don't have it and you want to get into that market, get some of that training. They have what they call little training programs that will help get you going. Then they can still leverage the Bentley Learn content. But it's all about getting in that mindset of being prepared, so when those programs arise, that you'll be able to take advantage of it. The local DOT says, hey, I want to do a project. Well, a lot of times they like to keep the work local. It's easier to work on small projects with smaller firms that are local and have a better relationship. And to do that, again, you have to be prepared, and learning and understanding the softwares they're using, which a lot of them, again, are using Bentley softwares. Just being up to speed will help get you in that door faster, and we'll help get you there.
All right, yeah, that's great. I was actually just getting ready to ask you about what these firms can do to help them be more attractive to these clients, and you answered a lot of that. Is there any other, maybe some specifics, things that they you might recommend that they can also do?
Yeah, like I said, I think the first thing is discovery. If we constantly are learning, and one thing I've learned through the years of when I stepped out of being a company owner and a typical day-to-day engineer, and having a client that wanted me to look into the software company with him, I started looking at engineering a little bit on a different way. When I was a small company, I had to fear, like everybody else, the next project could bankrupt me. I don't have time to learn this. I don't want to invest in that. The reality is we have to. The more we can invest in us, the more we can make. You think about this. As engineers, we're skilled and we're very well, but what makes us better tomorrow than we were today, a lot of times, is the technology we use. So if we want to get better, we got to get better technology. We got to get a better understanding of what that technology can do and what it can deliver. If we don't, then we're going to be behind the eight ball. We're always going to be trying to catch up with our competitors. So discovery is the first thing. What is out there and how does it fit within your workflow? Another one is, again, I sort of brought it in there, is that fear. Don't be afraid to take a chance. The worst case, and I did this just like a lot of other people, I tried a couple little softwares, and guess what? They didn't work. They didn't fit my workflow. And I know some people are like, oh, we don't want you to say it. I want you to buy our software. No, I want you to find what's right for you. And if it's open roads, it's open roads. Maybe it's open site. Maybe it's a combination. I got a lot of people use open site and civil 3D together. It's two different companies, but they get a great solution. Don't be afraid to try different things and look for a workflow, again, that makes you a better engineer. That's what the software should be about. So I think the two big things is, don't be afraid for discovery and finding something, and don't be afraid to go and actually do it. Because in the long run, again, it may take a little time, may take a little effort, but you'll be a lot better when you're done.
All right, that was an excellent answer. We covered a lot on small business. Is there anything you feel like that we've missed that you'd like to add on?
Yeah, I think one thing I'd also like to add is something that Bentley has started doing through Virtuosity that we don't do a lot, because we want to stand behind what we're saying with the small firms. and with Virtuosity. If you've ever tried to get a free trial of Bentley software, it could sort of take jumping through some hoops. But what we've done with Virtuosity is they're offering free trials. We have one right now that's up with Open Roads, and it's actually going to help you go through, work through a small project, and then lead you into more and more bigger training as you want to learn it as you go along. But it gives you that ability to come in and test drive. And I'll tell you, as a former Civil 3D user and Land Desktop for many years, Open Roads is an amazing tool. And going through this little trial, you'll learn that it has more power than you could have ever imagined. And I think that's a big one that you need to look at. Is if you don't believe me, just go give it a chance. So I'll say, just give it a shot and see if it fits you.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. But where this podcast resides, you can also find links and notes about other ways to learn more about Bentley's products geared towards small businesses. And before we go, I'd like to again thank David for joining me. Now, I really appreciate you taking the time to help our audience better understand their technology options, and I look forward to future discussions on this topic. So thank you.